Cheryl Dunye, director of the Strange Case episode of HBO's Lovecraft Country. Thank you for sitting down with me. How are you?
I'm swell, I would say.
Excellent.
Happy to
Excellent.
be here and speaking with you.
And happy we're all healthy and in good shape and all of that. So hopefully you are as well.
Yeah, we survived a pandemic to this point, so knock on
Yes.
all forms of wood. Yes, definitely, please.
Not a small feat. So, when I look at the Strange Case episode of Lovecraft Country, which again you did direct, I've seldom see an episode or a director's work so readily fit their background. It just seems like this was almost made for you. I mean, of course, it's based on the original novel, but it just seemed like there is such a clear fit for director to material. Did you feel that as well when you looked at the screenplay?
Yes, that was exactly what I felt. I think I was handpicked. I mean, Nietzsche knew exactly what she wanted, right? I mean,
Yeah.
from my first short film, Janine, that I did all the way back in grad school at Rutgers in New Brunswick, where I sit down and talk about my crush on a girl in my private girls' school who's white, and how I was trying to struggle with my skin and who I was sexually, to my episodes of Queen Sugar with deep storytelling and talking about difficult stuff. This episode really put everything together in my own personal independent filmmaking timeline, as well as my episodic work timeline. And so it just kind of I think Misha did her homework, and I'm pleased.
So you've obviously been working in film and independent film and in television for going on 20 years now, and you've worked with these themes, as you've just mentioned, the LGBTQ themes. When you look at a major series like Lovecraft Country, it must do your heart good to be able to see a huge HBO project tackle those themes so head on and not shy away from any of that material.
Yes. What was really important for me about this time period is the 50s, is a time period that so rarely gets, spoken about from a Black lens, from a Black perspective, any form of storytelling, and something that's not in the sense of being a great historical, we could look at some historical figure. This is flipping the switch on somebody's awful writing and world, or the original H.P. Lovecraft, to readapting that, to then putting another layer on it. And so I was really excited about that. My parents were, they fell in love in the 40s and 50s. And that was already there in my family photos. So I just came ready. My heart was there. HBO was, somebody who I worked with in the past with Stranger Inside, a feature I did with them. So I knew that they had the ability to allow filmmakers to explore what they wanted to do. I did that and about in a prison movie. They allow people to go deep and get to the core of their storytelling and not necessarily be hands off, but allow the collaborations that need to happen. So when I read the script, when Misha told me the timeline, I just again, everything fell into place with who I was or am. All the kind of art world, film world, LGBTQ world, race, films, African American and lesbian gay cinema. It just all just was like, So I'm really pleased that I could get to as they would say, my modesty blaze in this one, right?
Right.
Great film too, right?
Yeah. So theming aside, which is obviously such a perfect fit, how did you what visual inspirations did you draw on when creating this episode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the great ones for Montrose's story, one of my favorite films is Corel, Fassbinder. And this way that Fassbinder was shooting about desire and darkness and loneliness and this, steamy lights. There's something about the lighting in Corral, something about, Momo and Corral's relationship and the sex scene. That one was like, all right, I know exactly what to do with Sammy and this relationship with that. I know how to shoot this without compromising the intimacy that I wanted to create, because there was, now, I mean, back then I really don't know what happened on Fassbender's set, but I'm sure it wasn't what we dealt with. But we have intimacy coordinators, right? And we have a seasoned actor like Michael Kay with, a younger actor who, didn't have the same, level of like finesse and whatnot, but came really prepared and how to put these two things together. And so I could give a visual reference. So a lot of visual references from, again, those classic stories, from, Bye Bye Birdie, dance numbers, and Margaret, just a variety of classics from, Oscar Michaud to, I just really went into my archive. I was a film professor prior to this, for many years, on and off, all around LA and abroad as well. So I was able to dip into my syllabi,
Right.
and films that I taught younger people, and just was really just able to go, boom, 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 look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. So that really helped with matching that to, say, the lookbook, matching that to our storyboards, and there were strong VFX storyboards for this. I'll tell you, because there's transformations, but I was able to like kind of comb through this and bring to the table what I already had.
So also, you've got Montrose's journey into the underground club scene, which is a drag club essentially, and that's well before the drag balls of the 1970s. So how did you so authentically replicate those underground scenes for this episode?
Well, we have the Jewel Box Review in the 60s in New York. And, you have Stormé, who was the only woman who was dressed as a man as the MC, and all these, lovely folks performing in drag, as we would say back then. So, I mean, that's well before a kind of Pose world or Jenny Livingston's film or anything like that. So I knew about this already. And, I know Michelle Parkinson made a wonderful film called Stormé, Lady of the Jewel Box. And she was actually my professor. And thank goodness, she kicked me in the boot to make my own work even more. But that film was a documentary, a short little documentary about this moment. And so you had all these characters and figures. And then, what I had? I have a Jet magazine collection, and Jet's this magazine that was about African American life, and prior to sort of the 80s, that magazine was like solely for African American story. It wasn't just as a like people magazine. It was like news stories about the Black community, in this sort of little format. So I have all these Jets from 1951 to I have some that are like, current. And they have little images from, there were drag shows in the African American community back then, in little towns all over, the United States. There were all these events that were happening, and they were photographed and put in Jet and story told with, great little, snippets of stories by Black writers. So I cherish them. I sleep with them, and I was able to just kind of open my Jet and just say, boom, let's do this, right?
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. So I was able to, with my team and, Michael, the DP, just amazing. Boom, look at this. I had a wall that had just images on it. I was able to like listen to this music. My parents are from this time period, and I love, music that's from the 50s and the 40s. So I was, definitely one to know these sounds, and I was just able to, it was just like walking through my own timeline that made this more powerful. My own kind of relationship to a variety of communities and being on the margins and kind of looking in and out of being Black and being of queer and whatnot. So that really helped with what I was trying to do as a director in this episode.
You referred to Montrose and his transformation. Obviously, he goes on a journey of acceptance into his sexuality here over the course of this episode. And then, of course, you've got the physical transformation of Ruby. Those two things have to be working together thematically, right? Those are different, very different transformations, but still a journey for each character into change and into acceptance and transformation.
Right. They do. I mean, they also even go to Christina's transformation as well with William, right? So we don't even get the flip on, a woman playing a man, a white woman playing a man, and power relationships and that dynamic. I mean, so there was an investigation of everything that I represent in my own filmmaking and investigate, but then I got to do it with the true peeling, like, with sort of the rage, with sort of the gore, I get to really peel away at people and kind of strip it down, and really work with some kick-ass visual effects.
Yes.
As well as special effects as well as hair and makeup, and then talented talent to like shake it off, as I would say.
I felt when I was watching that episode, I felt for Wunmi Mosaku, because she had. I know this is all fake, like just really great VFX work, but she must have had that stuff just caked all over her, all of her hours on a day, through the set while she's going through those scenes. I felt for her. It shows in her performance.
Jamie Neumann and Wunmi, they had to. Really, undulate their bodies to kind of shake it off, And then we also did a lot of rehearsal where they had to mirror each other, right? They had to watch each other's performances, and definitely Jamie had to watch Wunmi's performance to act like her, and to bring on those elements when she's in the department store. And it was great. And they were just talented folks. I mean, just a wonderful cast.
That's interesting that you talk about the rehearsal for Jamie Neumann and for Wunmi Mosaku, because I'm trying to imagine what it must have been like, particularly for Jamie Neumann, to go and modulate her performance to be both Ruby, but also Ruby trying to quote unquote act white or be white in those skins. Very complex performance. How did you guide her through that?
We sat down and we, talked about, a lot of, again, I shared my jets. I shared, a lot of stuff about what it meant to be, white, what it meant to be Black, what sort of, 50s narrative, some James Baldwin stuff. I mean, we talk about text. We look at text, we look at images. And then we kind of put legs on it. And I think, the quick way around it was like, had to ask for permission, but let's let you get access to, Wunmi's performance. And, that's not one thing that anybody really wants to do, is like let out some, dailies or whatnot. But I was like, you need to see Wunmi do Ruby and what she's trying to do. You need to, figure out how to have rage on that. You need to kind of, look at, what's going on in Chicago, what's going on in the 50s with race issues. And, she's younger than I am. So I have a different relationship to that past. So we were able to just kind of storytell around that, and look at American USA history around race relationships through images. I mean, photography tells the truth to some degree in what made this really, powerful. So I was trying to sort of recreate some of the, more difficult truths around people looking at people, what it means to kind of, look at somebody else and be in the background and foreground. And then, look at cinema from this time period, Black and white. I mean, there's not a lot of Guess Who's Coming to. There's a few things that were relevant in the sense of where you have a mixed cast sort of talking about stuff, but it wasn't until, the late 50s, early 60s, and which is still past this moment, because they were still segregated. I know this really well. So it's just like,
Yeah.
like, let's look at, Cabin in the Sky, let's look at all these type of things and see, and then talk about it. So I was able to, because of HBO, because of Misha, because of her relationship with them, take the time in prep to go through all this, and it was worth it. Oh boy, was it worth it. So I would say that the prep is the best thing to what really made this like what it was. I was not rushed. I was able to go in depth and take the time to get those kids ready to transform themselves.
I feel like I'm back in college and I'm taking a film class again. This is fantastic.
I'm so sorry, but
no. This is a good thing. That's nothing
fun.
to apologize for. It's great.
It's true. Because like all those stories influence. Things haven't changed.
Right.
We have different clothing, phones and this and that now, but there's still the same issues. So it was it wows me when I get to bring an actor up to date about stuff, and they just suck it in like sponges. So Wunmi, coming from the UK, she had things to say too. So it's such a great process. I loved Lovecraft. I did really.
That's amazing. You talked about rage and its association with Ruby's physical transformation scenes, and with the peeling of the skin off. Is that why those scenes are so forthright, so graphic, so intense? Is it reflecting that rage of that time, that oppression from the 50s?
Yes, you hit it on the nose right there. It's really about the burned bodies, the charred bodies, the blood, the peeling away, the race, the scratching at, but all internalized. A lot of stuff with Ruby's narrative, beyond my episode, was about her own internalized racism, and what we as Black folk in the world have to kind of when we code switch and kind of, play ourselves in different worlds, we have to accept certain things, but inside we're just like, ugh, scratching ourselves and, hate yourself. So it's a, some people deal with that, not necessarily everybody, but, there's definitely this truth to it that I was able to depict and bring to the screen.
She also experiences rage in the last scene that she has as in her Ruby in her white skin, in that she assaults the manager of the department store with the shoe. Talk to me about filming that scene.
Oh, that was so it's interesting. Lovely actor. He was so game-ho about like doing it. Of course we couldn't really do it. So we had to create a body cast for her to like hammer into. And then it turned into Jamie hammering into it. And then we called it the red bottom scene because we real red bottoms. There were a lot of elements and making sure everybody was safe and comfortable. Right. And then actually shooting it in a way where I had to have foreground and background, right? So we're looking at something on TV that matters, and then we're also seeing this thing in the background. That was sort of a lot of playing with layers. So that number one was it. Once you know how to kind of slip on the goo and get them to kind of make that move, and then deal with our intimacy coordinator to make sure everybody was safe around it. It became quite easy. But the easiest thing that really made it much more easy was having a lot of previs and having a lot of storyboards and going through them with everyone. I'm a type of director who likes to get deep into the the pre-production process and work with my cast, rehearse like emotional beats, story beats, break down the script, break down the scene, really talk at heart, so that when I'm in there, when we're doing this, we've already done all that work. We're in a safe bubble together as director and cast, and the rest is just technicals, because there's a lot of technical stuff that happens. So they stay with me once we kind of figure out what we're connected with. So once I get that bond with my cast, they are, I could just go like, give me more. Give me more orange, if that's the word we describe this to be, and they know how to like bring it up instead of have to go in there and adjust it. Because again, episodic time, you have to get this done. So it was when we're shooting, we don't need to waste time to go through all that stuff. So again, I'm somebody who likes to dig deep into that process, to bring all my elements, to explore all that, to work with all the teams that you're able to have during prep. Around pre-visualizing it, rehearsing it, and again, blessed to have Misha, who protected that for me. She said, "What do you need?" And she gave it to me.
Fantastic. So my closing question for you is centering back on something that you've already sort of talked about, which is taking back that Lovecraft narrative from H.P. Lovecraft, kind of turning his issues on their head and taking ownership of it in a different way, and using that to explore a different narrative. Where do you think Lovecraft Country, both as a novel and as a television series, takes us from here on out? What do you think is the next step from beyond that? What's its legacy?
I think its legacy is one where, truth is fiction and fiction is truth, in a hard way. And we can use those to tell stories that are more than real. And I think in the sense, and have an opinion, and see who latches on to that, and as well as a liberation moment for people, right? So I think it gets to play with people's fantasies, it gets to play with people's truths at the same time, and it gets to then tear down, a sort of awful author of the real source material. But again, you're dealing with some sort of, as I would say, sort of transmedia on the top of it. Here you have Lovecraft, here you have the author who wrote the text, then here you have Misha wanting to do this, then you have all of us filmmakers trying to do something. And so there's a lot of translation going on. And then when it goes back to the public, which I think was fascinating, there's podcasts, there's a syllabi created around this where people were able to deal with social justice, and it came out at the perfect time where all eyes are on this moment, in the sense of the pandemic and people watching it and things of that nature, and being able to watch it again, and it just allowed people to dig deeper and share a moment where we can kind of look around and experience things together. So Lovecraft Country is is it going to come back again? Can we see it in different ways? And can we take the message from this to play with form? Allow filmmakers to and producers and text to kind of push their narratives, is what we're getting at and what we're left with. And I think that's what we're starting to see much more. People who aren't just dealing with, I'm going to tell a linear story, but we're able to start in the middle and maybe go high and maybe go low, but we're going to change the way that we tell stories.
Excellent. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for sitting down with me here. Strange Case, fantastic piece of work. You've got a lifetime fan in me. And I love watching the influx of Black voices telling their stories and legacy through the horror genre. It's just, it's fantastic to explore. It's fantastic to witness. So thank you so much for that.
Well, for me, ... more to come.
Excellent. I can't wait.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.